Okay, students, welcome back. You know, doing this on video is, I know how to do it. The biggest thing is you're learning how to do this. And finger waves are not necessarily the easiest, but it is a way for you to master how to control the hair. Movement, shape, all of that. And this is why when I teach you where you're at on the head form. It gives you a definite pattern and a definite map on where to take they're called ridges and waves. Okay, so finger waves is exactly what we're doing right now. Now this is, I've shown it to you, I'm bringing it up, I'm going to turn it real slow for you to see it. And I highlighted this, but because the hair is wet, hair is always darker when it's wet, but you can see the movements of the waves, and then we finish off with little backward C-shaping on the bottom. Now, this is why I showed you earlier as we were talking in class. Now, this is during the pandemic. I am teaching my students on my laptop, and this is what was shown, all right? So if anybody else should see this, you'll understand as well a little bit more about finger waving. The biggest thing about finger waving, the hair needs to be shorter. It needs to be layered. If you try to do it on long hair, you're very, very skilled because it's a lot of work, and the hair, you have to use a lot of gel, and longer hair, it's just extremely difficult to do. It's best to to get your finger waves in with pin curls and then, wave it in there. But even then, I admire people that can do that on longer hair because it is extremely difficult. Much easier on shorter hair. This is done with the uniform layered haircut or the 90-degree cut or the cut that says, I follow the head form and I'm about the same length everywhere on the head, all right? So on the top, this is your apex area. That first C shaping is going to be only at the apex, right here, included right there with that frontal, but it travels back to about the end of the apex. That's that first C shaping. The second C shaping is at the upper ridge. If you don't understand these terms, go back to the beginning where we identify all every area, every part of the head. We take baby steps in this so that you know exactly where you're at and where you're going. So the second C shaping stays within the upper ridge. And then we travel down below the parietal line with the next one. So if I just said, okay, bring it up here and curl it like that, we would never get this done. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to comb it out, and I'm going to show you again how to put this together. You're going to part it off at the upper ridge, and you're going to bring that part. Let me tighten this so it doesn't make me crazy. You're going to bring that straight down. So if you bring it straight down, you're going to be with this section here, right at the area, and I'm going to show you where we're at, right at the area behind the ear. See that? It's almost perfectly behind the ear right there. The rest of this hair just goes straight down. Now I'm going to go ahead and blend it, but the rest of it just goes straight down. You have to bring it straight down. And then again, this area here is brought down, and you are going to have a section right there just directly behind the ear. We're not going to worry about that right now, but that will be sectioned off in just a little bit. So we have it where it's all combed down. I did highlight it, like I said, but with wet hair, it's a little harder to see. You might be able to see some of the lines in there. This will be a lot more visible once the hair is dry. So I want you to see where we parted it. That's the end of the apex. That's the upper ridge. our first C shaping is going to end on the other side at the upper ridge. So it's taking hair and moving it in a particular direction that says this is how we move it to create the look. The one thing about your comb, it's always, when you put it on the scalp, it's always going to be held straight up. Should not be laying down. Should always be held straight up. You will see some finger wave motions where they lay it down and then bring it around. It's not incorrect, but it doesn't create a smoothness to it. So the comb, the entire time, needs to be perfectly straight as I'm doing it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the head forward so you can see it. And I want you to see the top of the head as I do this. So what we want to do is we want to create a perfect little C shaping, the letter C, on top of the head, following the apex line off the frontal area. The comb is going to be held straight. You're only going to use about this part of your comb the entire time. It's never done with the whole comb. It's only small sections of the comb, and you'll see that as I do it.
I got no mic.
Oh, wonderful. Hey students, okay, we're back, and I just wanted to, this is our finger waving class. The thing about finger waves, it's not going to be that often that you're going to do them, but when you want a nice clean finger wave in there, it's kind of nice to see it, and they are coming back with certain looks. This is the pandemic area, and us having to teach off of our laptop, and for you to have to watch videos and still try and get a hold of this, I'm going to tell you something. Like I've said before, you guys are making history. This is during the COVID-19 pandemic, and there's so many people that would love to be doing what you're doing as far as getting into the area of cosmetology and being able to get all of this. So the finger waving is definitely, you take control of the hair, you move the hair, you shape it in the direction that you want it to go. It's best done on shorter hair. I mean, I've seen finger waves on longer hair, and it is extremely difficult to do. And so much of that is because of the pulling motion, the moving motion. With shorter, layered, it's called a 90-degree cut pretty much. I always wait for you students to get the hair shorter before we do it, because we've done the 0, we've done the 180, and then we took the corner off, we rode the parietal line and got rid of the corner at the nape. And that made all the hair pretty much, it's called a uniform layer. It's all the same length. So it's very layered, so it makes it a lot easier to do. Finger waving, I'm going to turn the mannequin around so you can see the waves. They're just S shapes, basically. And you're going to part off. I'm going to comb this out and redo it for you. But this first C shaping is right at the apex, right at the center apex. That's where it's at. You carve it out to the end of the apex, and I'm going to show you how to comb it down, how to start it, and how to move it forward to do. Step-by-step directions, every movement. And what I'm going to do at times, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to say, okay, what do I do now? What do I do next? Write down the steps, memorize the steps. The hardest part is going to be your connection right here. Connecting with this S shaping is going to travel around it. This area here is your upper ridge. If you know exactly where the upper ridge is at, you'll know to stay there with that C shaping. This is called an open end. This is called a closed end. Strangely enough, this wave starts as a closed end on this side, however, becomes an open end on the other. Now I'm going to turn this around really slow for you to see how that's connecting and how that's happening. And all it is alternating C motions, alternating C waves, or open-ended and closed-ended. That's all. You're going to go one way, then you're going to go the other way, one way, back around the other way, back and forth, making like S shapes or curves. There is, if you get really good at this, and it takes using a whole lot of gel to do it, you can also create what we call a ridge. In other words, a pinched area right there. And I mean, the ridge is there, however, it becomes more visible when you pinch it out a little bit. And I'm going to try doing that for you today. Like I said, this takes a lot of gel. The hair has to be very wet when you do it. You can't just do it. So I'm going to show this to you again. You see, we're going to connect. This this C shaping goes in this direction and then follows through to go in the opposite direction, yet ends up like a backward C on this side. Still open end, closed end. All right? And then you just alternate. You're just going to alternate. You're going to go one way and then you're going to go the other way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down and I'm going to use a lot of gel, like I said. Make sure that you have your apron on. Make sure that you have something on the floor because this stuff drips, flies, everything, and it looks pretty gross. I'll be honest with you. You drip it on something, it's like somebody just sneezed on you. Okay, so be very careful about it. A lot of times I'll put it on my comb and just brush it into the hair. So I'm going to take this now, and this is exactly what I want you to do before you start, and you can already see some of it dripping down on the floor there. Okay, so we are at right at the apex on the upper ridge, and we're going to comb this over to the area, right at the area. I'll show it to you, right there behind the ear, straight up. If you go to the area behind the ear and take your comb vertically straight up, it takes you to the end of the apex. Then the rest of that hair, and I'm going to go ahead and blend that, but the rest of that hair is just combed straight down. Add more gel. You can see that little spot of gel right there. It's, like I said, gross, but you've got to add a lot of gel to this to get it to work, to get it to manipulate. If the hair is extremely damaged, it makes it really hard to comb out. So I'm just getting some more gel again. I'm going to place it on there and you can see it dripping. I want a lot of gel on there because that's the one way to really make it move. All right, so I've got this in there, combed it all straight down. You can see my part. All right, so what I'm gonna, my first step, always remember your comb goes straight up into the head. Try not to take the comb to the side. The motion is not as smooth and doesn't seem to be as controlled. Some people do it that way. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. This just happens to be the way that I feel that it teaches you and helps you work with it. And with the comb straight up and down, you are in control of this hair. So you see this part right there. I'm only going to use about this much of the comb at all times. The entire time that I do this, I never use this much of the comb, and you'll find some people do. Some people will try and do a lot more. It's better in small bites, small increments. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn my mannequin so she's kind of face down so you can see it, see what I'm doing. And you can see that I have a small portion of the hair right there, that's all. I'm going to move that up. I'm going to just kind of give it a sweep up, just gently. See that C shaping coming in? All right, and now notice my comb is straight up and down. All right, take it up. Now at the very center of the C, right there in the middle of the nose, I'm going to then bring it down. And you can really see now that C shaping going up and coming back down again. Now, I'm going to go to the area behind it. I'm not touching this anymore. I'm at the area behind it. Now watch that. That is not hindering the other. But then I move this up, place my finger, bring it down. I am staying within the upper ridge on that C. It starts and begins at the upper ridge and right at the center apex. Last section. All right, move it up, place my finger, bring it down. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up, place my finger, and this time just kind of give it a little bit of a slope back. Do not bring all the hair down. In other words, do not do that. All you're doing is you're drawing this C shaping into the other one. It's all to blend evenly and uniformly. So when you do this, all right, so you see that it's starting to S a little bit of an S shaping, not extreme just yet, but just a little bit back. So don't force it in any direction. You want to make small C's out of this. All right, so I'm going to take it around to the side here. I still want you to see it. Now you see this shaping. I'm going to take it now and start manipulating it, staying within the part. Do not go below the part. In other words, don't go down here trying to make your C shaping, because that straight line will stay there. We don't want that straight line to stay there. I'm going right to it. Can you see that? Okay, comb it, place my finger, control it. Comb it, place my finger, control it. Now do you see that coming in? All right, I'm going to continue traveling. Comb it back over, place my finger, control it. Let me turn the mannequin around. Comb it over, place my finger, control it. Comb it over. See that combing over? It just looks like a straight line going in that direction. However, it becomes curved as soon as I bring it forward. Okay, keep traveling around. And I hope you can see this. Comb it over. And you notice I use my finger still to control it, to hold that hair in place, to make it stay in that shaping or that C shaping that we're putting in there. Okay, what they call this is two oblongs. One oblong going in one direction and one oblong going in another. But oblongs are normally like this. So half of an oblong and then half of an oblong. All right, so that's basically what we're doing. So again, I'm going to shape it. I'm going to bring this around for you to see it. Shaping it, keeping my finger there, and then just kind of keeping my finger there. Okay, I've got some gel I got to put back there. Okay, so now you see, and I stayed within this line. All of that shaping is coming from this line, and it's blending into the side. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to perfect it. And you always start on what we call, I started here, this is called an open end. This is called a closed end. So you always start on the open end of a finger wave. So I'm going to bring it over to this side, and now I'm going to perfect it. I want to comb this over, place my finger, and this time I'm going to see the C shaping. You can really see it in there. Bring it over, push it up just gently, switch fingers, and then bring this down. See it? Okay, I'm going to turn my mannequin. Normally I'd walk around my mannequin. I'm still in that C shaping. I'm not going below it, I'm not going above it. There's my C shaping. Develop an eye for that. Put it right in the middle of the C shaping. Gently push the hair forward, and again, only using that much of your comb. Pump it up. You see that C shaping, and you have to press against it. You have to press against your mannequin so it stays in there. I'm going to turn it again, the C shaping, and then push it up. Switch fingers, and you notice that the mannequin moves because I'm pressing on it. You have to keep that hair from becoming straight. We want to keep that nice half circle in there. I'm going to travel around. Again, you see that C shaping. That C shaping. That's where I'm going to put the comb, where the end of the C is at. All right, so place my finger to hold it in place. Place it at the end. Bring it over gently. Push it up. Now see that? It's increased that. And then I'm not combing it straight down. I'm giving it just a slight movement in the other direction. Very slight. Not extreme. We're not doing this, all right? We're working on this C shaping. We're not building that one yet. So we're just molding it into it. Travel around. Okay, now I'm at the part. And see, there's the C shaping. Bring it in. Let me turn the mannequin so you can see it. Bring it in. Pump it up. Switch fingers. And I'm pressing into the bottom. And again, the comb stays straight to the scalp. Travel around that. Bring that over. See it? Switch fingers. Now, are you able to see that, cameraman? You
Yes.
see that all right? Okay. Okay, so now you see this C shaping is going to now connect with this closed end. This open end is done. So we're traveling around that part to create that. Again, the C shaping. Pump it up, switch fingers, and then just keep going until we get to the very end here. Okay, let me move that up just a bit. Okay, C shaping, bring that back, pump it up. See, once you learn this and you want to get really good at it, then you can really put those ridges in. When you take your state board test, 2 ovals have a ridge in between. Okay, that's one of the questions that you're going to be asked. This is the ridge on a finger wave. 2 ovals connected create that ridge. Okay, you see that? Now I'm going to get the last of it, again, only using a small bit of the comb, and you see that here move, so I have to really press it so that it doesn't move too far. Now, I've connected. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I don't want to mess up my cameraman. He has to keep moving the camera because, okay, you see where I connected to that. Okay, so now, like I said, you always start on the open end. So this would be the open end. So I start now on the other side. This is going to be the hardest part for you to do. Once you're done with this and you see your connection, you see that that's blended. The rest of it is easy because now you don't have to worry about connecting. Now you're just making S or C shapes. All right, so I'm going to turn it and I'm going to mold it. Before I do it, I mold it. So I'm molding it in. See it? Now I'm not doing this. I'm just making a little bit of a C shaping in there. So I'm molding it in the opposite direction. And remember, one goes one way and then the other one. So all I did was mold that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this now and bring it and slightly put it over the other way. So see, that's coming this way, it's coming the other way. All right, now I'm going to place my finger, because I've already molded it in, pump it up, and shape it a little bit so it starts going back. Now there's my C shaping. You really want your C shapings to be about 2 fingers in width. You don't want them 3 fingers. 2 fingers in width is pretty good. And see, that's there. This is a little bit wider, but that's all pretty much 2 fingers in width as we travel down. So I'm going to place 1 finger there, stay at the bottom of the C, bring it up, switch fingers, carve it back. Okay, I'm going to place my finger there. What's the next step? What do I do? Yes, I place the comb, and then what do I do? You guys tell me. Okay, move it forward, pump it up, switch fingers, comb it down. Comb always stays straight onto the head. Okay, so place my finger, and now what? Do I grab this or do I go further back? No, I just take that small section, shape it in. I'm pressing pretty good on that mannequin. Switch fingers. There it is. Travel around it, place my finger. You notice I'm staying up here. I'm not traveling further down. That's the middle of that C, so I'm staying there. And then I bring that C shaping in there, switch fingers, bring it out. Again, bring that out. Let me move the mannequin so you can see it. Bring it out. And you notice that we're still, in a way, forming that. bringing that in so that it continues on. Okay, so now I'm going to pick this up, stay in the middle of that C, bring it over to blend with this. I'm bringing it over to blend with that little bit right there. Once it blends with it, then I switch my fingers. All right, okay, so now you tell me what you do here. Okay, place my finger, yes. Okay, now the comb, and you notice the comb, again, small section. Do I blend it in? Am I blending it in? Yes, I'm blending it in, so that when I get it, once it blends, once it matches with that, then I switch fingers. All right, I put my index finger, put my ring finger there to support it, my index finger there to shape it. Okay, pump it up a little bit, and then here we have a closed end. Pump it up a little bit. Now on this side, what we're gonna do, because of the ear, it will drive you crazy if you're not careful with it. You can take it and keep going on it, but my preference is to put a pin curl there. And later on, when we start learning about pin curls, your carve out is your base. This area here is your stem. As soon as it goes to the circle, that's exactly what that is. That's the circle. So you have your base, stem, and circle. Okay, so we can see that we've got a slight shaping there. So I'm going to take it now and mold it. Mold it into the other direction. You've got to watch what you're doing so that you don't go into the opposite direction and make two C shapings that are going in the same direction. Now you notice that I'm staying really, really close. See, I'm staying real close to that curve area. I'm not coming down lower. Okay, so I'm going to mold it, mold it, mold it, mold it. All right? So now we're going to start on the open end, which would be here. This is the open end. The other side is, oh, careful, closed. See, the open end, closed end. So I'm going to turn this. Let me lay my mannequin down just a scotch there so you can see it really well. And I'm going to mold it. You have to go back in and mold a little bit. All right. Now what we're going to do now is what we did on the other side. We're going to bring this in. You know what, I think I'm just going to bring it in first and shape it into it and then take it off in a little bit. So we've got that molded. There's my C shaping. I'm going to bring it, so put my finger on the very middle of the C, bring it over, pop it up, and start shaping it in the other direction. Bring it over, pop it up, start shaping it in the other direction. Bring it over, pop it up, shape it in the other direction. It's just a repetitive movement that we just keep doing. Now, if you want to get a really stiff ridge in there, you're going to pop it way up, and then you're going to, I probably need some more gel to do that with, but you're going to pinch it with your fingers, and it creates a little bit more of a ridge instead of a smooth. This is smooth, this is a little bit more of a ridge when you pinch it in. So I'm going to bring this over, again, bring this over. Now, what we're going to do, because we're bringing this over, this is closed on this side, and now we're going to make it a pin curl here. All right, and now this side is now the open end, just like the other one was. Mold it, and just shape it in to mold it. So you've got your curl, 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 curl now on this side. So now we're going to go right in the middle of that C, and you just about really need to almost bring your mannequin way down. This is a little wider than what I like. But because we're right there, right at the area of the ear, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But you can see that this is 2 fingers. This is just slightly more, but not enough to worry about. Okay, so we've molded it in. Now we shape it, pump it up, and get it going the other direction. Shape it again. As you can see, I'm just drawing it over to match it with that. And the comb is staying straight. Switch fingers, bring it over. Now you see how that's separated? Okay. Shape it. Pump it up, bring it over. Let's get that in a little bit closer. There you go. Okay, again. Shape it, pump it up, switch fingers. Okay, what do? Place the comb, place my finger. Then you shape. Do not shape before. Okay, bring it over. Now switch fingers, and you only go to the end of the C. You don't take it too far out. You're going to be tempted to, but don't. Okay, now see, shape it. Switch fingers, bring it over. Now what I'm going to do on the bottom is I'm just going to make some little curls coming in the other direction. Because this hair is pretty short, and when we learn pin curling, what will happen later on is we'll put some pin curls on the bottom of that. So that's pretty much it on the finger waving. You're going to take it, as I said, see it? This is your blend into that closed end. I've got some little loose hairs right there. And you always start on the open end. So we created the open end, carved it, molded it to create an open end on this side. So it's open, but then becomes closed. Now, what happens here? This is closed, this one's open. Closed, open, closed, open. All right, so you always start, and remember you have to keep your finger on it to mold it. You can't just mold it with your finger not holding that wave in there. And you have to press pretty good. You can see my mannequin stand moving when I do that. So I'm pressing pretty good on it, almost leaving a fingerprint in there. But the hair, like I said, has to be shorter. Right here, all my little small my small pin are in my drawers, so I just use these big ones. But usually you would just use a smaller one. But you can see the motion this way, this way, this way. Finally, that final curl. So I hope that you can see it. We try and work the lighting. I don't care whether you can see me or not. I want you to be able to see how this is done. As you get better and perfect it, you can put those ridges in. Right now, all I want to see is that you can blend the open end, closed end, and then just make your motion going from one side to the other. Take your time with it. You're going to get frustrated, especially if the hair is tangly. That's why you want it very wet and you want a lot of gel on it. That's why you want it layered. There's that picture in your book, in your pivot point book. You can see that definite wave in there. When we comb this out, that's what it's going to have. It's going to have just a definite wave going back and forth. People want that. And later on what we're going to do is we're going to do all of this in pin curls so you can practice that as well. And they're all flat curls pretty much, but there's, when we get into the pin curling section, and we will, you'll be able to pick that information up a little bit more. How much time do I have, cameraman?
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Did you say 2 minutes?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, so students, take your time with this. It's not easy. It takes looking at it. It takes watching what you're doing. Ask yourself, did I place my finger? Did I gently carve into it? Did I only use that portion, that small portion of the comb? If you're using too much and you're sweeping it way over, it's gonna make it more difficult for you to do. Remember, only creating a C and only creating a C in the opposite direction. Good luck with it. Get your mannequins, do all of your haircuts, please. You've got to do the zero, you've got to do the graduated, the A-line. 180, and then you take the corners off, and then you take the corner off the parietal, take the corner off the nape, then you can do your finger waves. Catch up, please. I'd really appreciate it. See you tomorrow or when we have our class again.